Morning, good morning, good morning. What is up, folks? How's everybody doing this morning? JT here with another Xtrades FOMO live stream. Hope you all are doing well. It is Thursday, April the 24th. Ready to dig in and see what the market has in store for us today. We'll go through, of course, our existing trade plans. What's up, Unknown Reviews? Good morning. What's up, Santa? Oh, wait, no, that's from the last live stream. I guess I'm not sure if I responded to that though, so better late than never. Google, yeah, we'll take a look at those. We actually have an existing trade plan running for Google right now that we've been watching so far this week, so we'll definitely touch on Google and see where we're at with that one. So appreciate the ticker request here bright and early over there on the YouTube side of things. All right, got my screen streaming, got my audio streaming. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything. I tend to do that every once in a while. All right, so let's dig in. Let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing here on S&P futures. We had a pretty decent little gap up there on Tuesday. A lot of that coming from potential developments with regards to the trade war and relations with China. Um, Trump saying, essentially the tariffs aren't going to be 140% or whatever crazy number they're currently at. Um, and that they were working on making a deal or something like that. Of course. What's up, Ryan? Good morning. Yeah, we'll take a look at Apple. What's up, Tony? Good morning to you, brother. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, like I was saying, Trump kind of, trying to get some positive momentum going in the markets by kind of, hinting at things are they're making good progress with regards to China, and they don't expect tariffs to be as high as what they're currently saying they are, and all that sort of stuff. Again, just I think a lot of mass confusion and lack of strategy or clarity or really anything um, believable coming out of the current administration there. We did discuss yesterday in the chats, I'd be very careful with that. And this is, that also helped cause this pump going into the cash session there yesterday. I was very clear, with folks, do not buy that pump. All it will take is for, Xi to come out and say, that's bullshit. We're not actually talking. I don't know what he's referring to, blah, blah, blah. And the markets will not react positively to that. I think there was even some slightly contradictory information coming out of the White House itself yesterday, which again, no surprises there. But yeah, China came out overnight and essentially said what I expected them to say, which is, we don't know what they're talking about, until they come and speak to us with sincerity and essentially saying like, don't come at us with a bunch of BS. We're willing to sit down and have a discussion, but until then, anything you're hearing is fake news, right? And so China's coming out and essentially calling out fake news on on Trump, which is, I think, amazing and hilarious at the same time. What's up, San Andres? I've actually accidentally already said good morning to you already because I saw your message from Tuesday. Hope you are doing well. So that's kind of the narrative, the story behind the scenes, or really above the scenes at this point. What's up, Chris? Good morning, brother. How are you? Hope you're doing well. So what does that mean? Let's get into things a little bit more technically from an ES perspective. We still do have this gap to the downside to fill here on S&P futures. I don't love those gaps hanging out there for very long. ES, I would say a little bit more rapidly and frequently than what you'll see on other charts, tends to fill these gaps fairly quickly. It's not, that's a bit anecdotal. It's not a guarantee it gets filled quickly, but more often than not that happens. There's also room to get that gap fill and pull back and still maintain some bullish momentum all the way down to 5307. But below that, I think we could drop down lower for a test of this 5171 down to this trend line, which is currently trending right around 5142. So keep an eye on that 5307 level. Again, that could be a sign that if we lose that, we're going to see some more downside, and you may want to use that in a number of different ways. to your advantage. So looking at things here on the hourly, things, 200 SMA is crossed above the 333. 333 is still in a pretty strong downtrend, but the price action is above it at this point. Let's take a quick look at a couple other time frames, and then we'll get to our reviews. See, 333 still above the 200 here, and they're kind of flat on the 30-minute. Nice bounce out of the bullish flag, 333 combo there on the 30-minute. Let's look at a slightly higher time frame as well. We also do have, and I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this earlier, this downtrend and these bearish SMAs overhead on the 4-hour. We've been very overextended to the downside. This may be where we kind of consolidate and reset a lot of things like RSI and all that before we do make another leg down. So, again, there's still a pretty strong, bigger picture bearish confluence overhead that I am mostly worried about more than anything else as far as going long and getting a bunch of exposure to equities at this point. So, we could be running out of runway for bulls potentially here. Unless we are going to make a true breakout and recovery and something. I think that's going to take some kind of catalyst to do that. I don't know if it's realistic to expect that catalyst to come, if we kind of trace just sideways price action, how much time does that give us before we start butting up against this trend line and potentially that 200 SMA as well? I mean, that gives us until, essentially a month possibly, but that's only if we go dead flat. We obviously, if we get some upside momentum, we could test this sooner. If we get some downside momentum, it may take a while before that we do catch back up to that trend line. So, again, this is definitely an area where I would say if you're in long positions already, this would be a great position that are profitable. This would be a great time to look to scale a lot of those out and just wait to see if we do get this break. If we don't, then I would expect another pullback and another probably even better buying opportunity. Could be a new low of the year if we don't break out and we do see a pullback. So again, keep your eyes on everything. I know it's a lot to watch right now, especially with everything going on with the trade wars and politically. So do your best to navigate, but maintain minimal exposure when conditions are not totally favorable, I guess is what I would say. So, all right, let's get to our trade plan recaps. Google Unknown Reviews also asked about this one this morning. We did this trade plan, posted that Sunday evening. Did, again, pull back to the downside. We talked about this on Tuesday's live stream. Didn't quite get to PT1 and ultimately did flip things to the upside. With some of that positive news coming out of the White House there Tuesday after hours and pumping us into the beginning of the trading day yesterday, taking us all the way up to PT1 plus. Did dip back down below and consolidated against PT1 going into the close yesterday. We are pulling back a little bit still. So far lower highs as compared to yesterday. So Google's, may have seen the upside it's going to get for the foreseeable future. I would and am interested to see if we do get another more structured break of 155.96. I think that will open up more upside, but I'd also say at this point, probably best to wait for PT2 158.10 to break before trying to go for a long trade, because then you have a better risk reward setup. We talked about this previously, but I'll just point it out again real fast. So if you look at entering over PT1 and use PT2 as your first price target and use the call entry, let's say, as your stop loss average down, your risk reward is going to be upside down. Looking at that kind of setup, the way it's currently configured, right? 0.78, right? But if we wait, if we're a little bit more patient, we shoot for a move that's more of a break above PT2, back test to PT1 being our stop loss average down, and PT3 being our target. Well, now we're looking at a 1.76, much better on the risk reward front. So yeah, I'd be waiting for that PT2 to give way at this point. What's up, K Money? I will do my best to show you the money. That's what I'm trying to do every day. So, yeah, over PT2, we could see, again, a bigger move to the upside and try to push for PT3. I'd move my stops up to PT1 there at 155.96 on that break. Downside, if we're going to look at kind of re-engineering this Google trade plan, um, I would say you could conceivably, no, I take that back. I would make a slight adjustment actually if we were going to put a new downside plan together. I'd probably have and I'd also want to go back and look at my kind of confirmed support and resistance levels, but I'd be surprised if there's not one right around here at 149.71. I would take profits a little bit earlier also, probably a little bit closer to like that, so it would be something more like this. Kind of point this out real quick for unknown reviews, kind of give a modified on the fly trade plan here. And the stop for that definitely be right in, yeah, right about here. Could be a little bit higher. Right about there is where my stop would be. So you look at those blue levels, and then from there, I'd say you're looking for the rest of the downside trade plan. I would make that slight adjustment to it. I guess I could go ahead and tweak this real quick. Yeah, no, that's going to make things all kinds of crazy. I'm just going to leave this as is. I'll post this for you. Unknown reviews. There in the, call this the Google modified plan blue levels for adjusted put plan. So that's kind of how I would handle that. And again, so far playing out to the upside. If you're not in already at this point, again, I'd be waiting for a break above the call PT2 there at 158.10 for a move up to PT3, stop loss at PT1. To the downside, I wouldn't want to get in too much earlier. I don't really see a great window of risk reward until we break below 149.71. That would give us a stop loss at 152.17. I would shift my first price target up a little bit, same as we're shifting the entry up to 146.40, and then from there I'd be looking for PT2 and 3 for the downside. So that's Google, where we're currently sitting at right now. AVGO, also from the member selected trade plans, another one that just came just shy of PT1. Again, the market just kind of got grabbed up, I think, a little bit ahead of schedule there for some reason, but ultimately has pushed toward the upside, but nothing confirmed on the upside of this trade plan yet. Also seeing a confluence getting ready to take place with the current downtrend on AVGO and the call entry. So if we do get a good break of the call entry, AVGO could make some pretty decent moves. So keep an eye on this one for sure if we see the call side of this trade plan play out. But so far, a miss there on the downside, and then no trade since then. It's just stuck to our range. Our call entry had the resistance where we needed it to be at, so we weren't getting into a pump prematurely and getting stopped out. XYZ, block, square, whatever they call themselves these days. This one, again, very similar situation to what we just looked at with Google and AVGO. Again, another dip just shy of the PT1 there. This one, though, dipping into some bullish buying pressure. So, for those using NTS, I wouldn't have been trying to go short right down in that buying pressure personally. That's not a great setup with that in place there. But overall, it did flip things to the upside, did push to PT1. I think, was that our 50? Yeah, we were a penny off on this rejection that ultimately wound up being the high of day yesterday. Has since pulled back, trying to hold the 333 as support here going into pre-market this morning. So this is another one that I would say keep on watch for a potential upside break. It's looking pretty good. 333 is still in a downtrend. Let's try that again. Downtrend. Uh, and the 200 is starting to curl up. Might see that cross back over the 333 here before too long. Wing or Wingstop, this is one that we did on Tuesday's live stream. Pretty much consolidated all day Tuesday, and then yesterday opened up above our call entry, ran up to PT2, caught that 333 SMA. These are still in a bearish direction, bearish trend, all that good stuff, but hit that 333, rejected on the spot. Down to the stop loss average down, but so far holding up on the bullish side. A little bit of mixed signals here, bearish SMAs, bullish overall NTS. So, you know, it's a mixed bag. And I would certainly be scaling out heavily at PT2 at this point if you do decide to take this for any upside trades. And then last but not least from our recaps, we just did the XYZ for you there, Chris. Hopefully that was helpful. And then Tuesday's live stream, we also did Carvana. Carvana pumped pre-market probably shortly, or was that right after market open? Yeah, right after market open, actually. Sorry. Did wait till after the market open to break that call entry side of things. Has since tried to push higher, got up to PT1 and then some. Saw a little bit of pullback with the rest of the markets there on Tuesday. Really kind of flat and consolidating, but bouncing out of the key buying pressure, key call entry level there on NTS, and still kind of moving sideways above that level there at 216.21. So Carvana so far has played out for the upside. Might have a little bit. Excuse me. Sorry, let me get some more of this coffee in. Could see some good call buying opportunities off of 216.21. I would keep a tight stop. Watch the 333 SMA on the 15-minute there. If we break below that and you use that 216.21 as a buy the dip opportunity, I would use that 333 SMA here on the 15-minute chart as kind of my moving stop loss average down for deciding when it would be time to cut that trade. So, yeah. Those are our, let's see, that's all of our recaps. So let's get to some new ticker requests this morning. Tony was in bright and early with Apple. Do you have a preference between Apple or BA so I can spread the love to some of the other requests I got, Tony? Tony's typing. Let's do BA. Okay, let's do BA. All right. All right. Let's get to it. So, what's it looking like here, BA? Let's zoom out. Okay, we are on the hourly. All right, let's see. Interesting rejection up near this. What is that? Daily level there at 175.76. That's right, I forgot this button's not working. That's going to annoy the shit out of me. I'll figure it out later, though. All right. So BA. Boeing. Really looking very closely this 177.25 entry. We do take that as an entry. I like 175.03 stop loss. First target. Let me make sure this. I think this is the level I was watching. Let me just double check. I need to get this mouse button thing fixed. I don't know what caused it to stop working, but I'll figure that out. Yeah, that'll be our first target up there at about 180.38. Second target's probably going to be right here. I'll check this against the more recent price action. I think that's the level I was watching there. Third target up to this weekly level. Yeah, yep, that's the second price target I was looking at. So there we go, 1, 2, 3 to the upside with a stop loss figured out. So we're good to go there. Downside, already this 168.54 sticks out to me. Excuse me. Yeah, for sure. Do like that. I like it at least giving us a test down to this weekly level. Stop loss. They're at 170.84, PT2, 162.53. Third target. Let's see. Yeah, gotta get this mouse button fixed. It's gonna mess me up. Yeah, it's right about here at 158.79. Right about here. Let's go with that for the time being. All right, so here's our levels. Let's get our trade plan navigators set up. 170, whoops, 177.25 to 180.38, 82.81, and 187.17 with a stop loss at 175.03, downside 168.54 to 165.61, 162.53, and 158.85. Stop loss at 170.84. See if I got those levels right. Call entry. It's actually a little bit off there. I'll fix that. The rest got those right. Okay, so that's 177.20. Oh, I must have just missed the 2 there, I'm guessing. There we go. And let's make this slight adjustment, offset this a little bit. Yep, that looks good. Okay. And then last but not least, let's clean this chart up. That's much better, right? Right. So, oops, copy link. Here is our BA live stream plan. Somebody said, okay, well, we'll take a look at Apple too, maybe. Let's see. BA live stream plan there and there. And in the chat there. Okay, so let's get it into the watch list. And oops, get my link. Lock this in. Thursday live stream plan 1. Yes, create our alerts. Before I do that, actually May 1st. And this is our BA Thursday live stream plan 1. Whoops, BA, not VA. Okay, those are our alerts good to go. So let's talk through this real quick. What are we looking for here on Boeing? We're looking for a break over 177.25 for continuation to the upside to 180.38, 182.81, and 187.17. With a stop loss average down at 175.03 to the downside. We're looking for a break below 168.54. That should bring downside targets at 165.61, 162.53, and 158.85 with a stop loss average down at 170.84. Those are your Boeing live stream plans. Let's go. All right. Go back to the chats here. So we got Google. Yeah, Ryan Brown asked for Apple. Tony asked for Apple. Everybody wants Apple. Let's take a look at Apple next. That's interesting. I was looking at some kind of a near-term trend on Apple that has now flipped to resistance there. All right. Let's go. Playbook. Let's get these put into the mix there. Like that. Okay, cool. So, what are we looking for here on Apple? Oh, wait, one more thing. Sorry. All right, Apple. Let's up. Where are we at currently? 204. So this is definitely going to require some patience. Don't FOMO into upside. Because I don't think it really opens up a decent amount of upside and is a pretty key level big picture for Apple until it breaks over 215.02. But that does give us a pretty clear stop loss level down here at 209.65, and I think it also gives us a pretty clear PT1 up here at 223.57. So good risk reward, but we've got to be patient and let that trade develop, wait for it to be ready. Second price target, I like right there at 228. Third target, so far I'm liking it right there. Let's just, well, I don't think I'm going to see any, yeah, no new testing there. So, all right, but I like that upside trade plan. That's good. Again, just have to give it a little bit of time before we go jumping on that one, trying to play for upside. Downside trade plan, where does that start to get legs? Kind of like I think there's a level in here I don't have, or maybe I've just, two levels kind of seem, all three of these levels seem a little murky to me. Don't like that. Like things to be very clear. I think these really sit a little bit more like this. I'm being perfectly honest with myself. Sure, I saw something at the time where when I put them there, or perhaps the price action has just shifted things a little bit over time. But yeah, 198.77 does become a potential decent downside entry. Or is that a little bit lower? Sorry, I'm like Trump with tariffs, so I keep changing my mind on where this level needs to be. And of course, I gotta do this instead of just sliding it over like I'm used to, because I gotta fix for some reason, my mapping of my mouse buttons has gone like sideways or just away entirely. You know what? We might need to I don't know. Yeah, I'm really torn between 197.03, 198's. All right, let's do this. Let's be a little bit more patient. Maybe trying to rush it by going in too early, and that's why I can't convince myself that that's the entry. Stop loss would be right here, though. First target, I think, is just a little bit lower than this weekly level. About another dollar down to 190.17. Play off that recent low, recent rejection. First target. Second target. Yeah, that level needs to be more like right there. And makes for a good, whoops, second target there. Third target, let's see. Yeah, go for 178.45. All right, so let's get this plugged in. Looking for a break at 215.02 with targets at 223.57, 228 flat, and 233.37. Stop loss at 209.65. There we go. 97.03, 190.17, 185.10, and 178.45. 202.79. Stop loss on that. Do I have that a little bit off? Hang on. What's this level? 201.60. Oh, I grabbed the wrong level from the price axis there. Whoops, wrong thing. That is 201.67. That looks better. All right, here we go. Also, to be noted, earnings coming up May 1st. So, a little bit of time on this one. All right, here comes your Apple live stream trade plan. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it makes people start to not believe you. It makes them think you're unreliable. Maybe you're not a good investment. All kinds of bad things come with wishy-washy, unstable behavior. All right, so oh gosh, did I post that chart like that without PT3 being on there? My bad. Let's fix that. Better chart coming at you. Sorry about that. Go back and fix that in the options watch list too. I did, yeah. Screwed that up. There we go. That's better. So now I can copy my message link. Post that sucker in here. Lock in our template. Thursday live stream plan 2. Yeah. Regular trading hours. Let's set our alerts. Give this until next Thursday. All right, so just to talk through this real quick, what we are looking for on Apple, we're looking for a break over 215.02 to play for upside. That should take us up to 223.57, 228, and 233.37 with a stop loss average down at 209.65. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 197.03. That should bring targets at 190.17, 185.10, and 178.45 with a stop loss average down at 201.67. Those are your Apple upside and downside live stream plans. Let's go. All right, what did we have up next? I think I could squeeze one more in real quick. Chris asked about XYZ. We did cover that here. So again, I think XYZ, just look for this one to play out again. We've already got the plan for it. Coin. Like the next one as far as going in order of how they came in. Yeah, coin came in a little bit before that Disney request in the YouTube side of things. All right. Coin, coin, coin. Let's clean this up real quick. Let's see what it looks like. All kinds of old levels here on coin, but I expect they'll give us what we need. Already watching this level. Let's see. Don't want to get in too early. In fact, let's go ahead and mark that because that's either going to be an entry or a stop loss. It's looking more like a stop loss to me. Yeah. It is going to be our stop loss. Our entry will be just a little bit above, just a little bit of extra confirmation there. Another $1 is worth the wait, I think. There is an upside gap to fill, though, actually. Let's turn these indicators off for just a sec. Might change this up a little bit. Do that. Yeah, I think we can move this down there. Do want to keep that stop loss in place, but my big concern with how this is setting up, yeah, we're going to need to look to see if there's a better stop loss. Kind of see a potential one, but my concern, and I'll show you with this kind of the way it's setting up so far, is we have a gap to fill right there that could reject us. And that, just by eyeballing it, puts us below a 1-to-1 risk reward. At least I'm pretty sure it does. It's right on the line. Let's see if we can find a better stop loss. Yeah, that's kind of around where I was looking that we could potentially also have stop loss that would be a little bit tighter. Let's see. My only concern is that potential for a getting shook out of the trade when it's possibly still valid. Yeah, I think we can tighten this up and it's not. We're probably not doing ourselves any disservice by doing it, but by doing that. So let's go with it. It gives us better risk reward. All right, second price target over that gap fill if it does continue up right here to 217.29. Over 217.29. There's a lot of rejections up in this neighborhood. Yeah, probably right around this 221.91. Be a little bit low. I wonder if I have. I think this level's kind of splitting the difference between two other levels. Throwing me off as I'm looking at this. This sits a little bit more right out here-ish. Nope, sorry. Where is it? Down there. Yeah, you know what? It is. We're up right there. All right, I'm good with that. 221.50 third price target. All right, that all looks good. So let's figure out potential downside setups. Yeah, we're going to take an entry below this weekly level. Stop loss, I can already tell. He was going to be right there at 192.04. First price target. This one's got some ground to cover going to the downside. In my opinion, could be a bigger move to the downside there. Also just make sure got this level dialed in because we do have plenty of room to work with. Could be just a tiny teeny little bit higher right there. Yeah, that's good. All right, second downside target right here at 172.95. Third downside target, I think, takes us down to 167.02. So let's plug this in. See if I can keep track of these levels. 206.62 on up to 212.35, 217.29, and 221.50 with a stop loss there at 203.03. 186.35 on down to 178.40, 172.95, and 167.02. Stop loss at 192.04. Oh, indicators are turned off. No, 180. Yeah, that's the right level. These are just. Hang on. I do have that off. It needs to be 190.03, right? Yeah. That looks better. All right, let's adjust this Y offset just a little bit. Good enough. All right, let's hide these. Right, here we go. This is our coin live stream plan. Post that in the Discord. And of course, options watch list gives us our link. Save our template. Set our alerts. And this is Coin Thursday live stream plan 3. Okay, 3 plans today. How about that? All right, so let's talk through this real quick and then we're going to wrap it up. What are we looking for here on coin? We're looking for a break over 206.62. That should bring targets at 212.35, 217.29, and 221.50 with a stop loss average down at 203.03. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 186.35. That should bring targets at 178.40, 172.95, and 167.02 with a stop loss average down there at 190.03. Those are your coin upside and downside trade plans. This is your Xtrades FOMO live stream for Thursday, April the 24th. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you'll come back next Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our next live stream. Until then, I'm going to go get this SPY plan put together. As we always say here on the FOMO live streams, plan your trades, trade your plans, go out there and get some green. Keep those wins big, keep those losses small. I will see you all in the chats. Have a great day.